Hello, welcome to episode 2 of Soul Sessions with Sophia and Tunie Yvette Mangum.
Yes.
Welcome. We are discussing today reincarnation, right? We said we're going
Yes.
to talk about reincarnation. During our last soul session, the topic came up just a little bit, and Tunie said, "You believe in reincarnation?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, really? Because I don't." I said, "Great. We'll talk about that next episode." So here we are, episode 2, and the topic today is this one life or do we get many lives? Right? Okay, so now that I've introduced that, my name is Sophia Russell. I am a spiritual teacher, a therapist, an author. I have a book that I have just published called Soul Walk: Before, During, and After Life. It's available. Thank you, Tunie. It is available on Amazon and anywhere books are sold. So be much grateful and appreciative if you pick that up. I think you would enjoy it. It really does go into detail about loving God just organically, you in spirit, and how you can kind of remove those religious barriers that seem to limit us rather than allow us to express our free will. I'm going to have Tunie tell me a little bit about your understanding, maybe a little bit of your spiritual beliefs, and and ultimately what you do believe about our life. Do we have one or do we have many?
Okay. So I'm sitting here as a lump of indoctrination.
Yes.
I've been told this is right, this is wrong, this is bad, this is good, this is, and I've had to decipher all that.
Right.
Okay. So a lot of things were actually scared into me. I didn't even get the opportunity to let me figure that out for myself.
Yeah, when you think about it, that's true. Yeah. This is what God said.
Right. And so my parents, along with aunts, uncles, cousins, generations before me, said this is the right way to do things. And anything contrary to that is wrong, is hateful, is sinful, and you're going to burn in hell for all eternity.
Yes, and it is of the devil.
It is of the devil. And even if I think anything contrary to that, that's stinking thinking. All these religious cliches. I have a right to at least think what I want.
Yes.
I know they say freedom of speech. No, it isn't. I know I don't have the right to say anything, but to think anything. Okay, so you're going to take that away from me as well when that's a human trait. We're constantly thinking of things. Soon as I meet someone, yes, I do size them up.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm right. Most times I'm not.
Most times we're not.
Most times I am not.
And that's because of that indoctrination you're talking about. We're told what blacks are, what whites are, what Asians are, what Hispanic. And forgive me, Hispanic was an American government given name. It's actually Latin.
Right.
Just like we got African American, right? And some of us go,
no, we did.
Never even been
when you and I were born, we were black. That was the
Negro
term.
before that.
Right. So that was the term. We've been a lot of things. That's why another thing, we're so confused. Every other a person from Japan is Japanese.
Yeah.
A person from China is Chinese. So everybody matches where they're from. We don't. We don't even know what the heck we are.
Yeah.
Everything about us is being told to us, and it's a bunch of negativity. We're being told that you're the most criminal and you're the most this and that. And I these so-called statistics, I wasn't involved with the panel. How do I know you really did that test?
Right.
I don't know. I know this. I know enough to know that I don't know nothing. And if I can confirm that I'm sitting here talking to you at my table with my laptop, I know that for a fact.
Right now in this present moment.
Right. Anything over and above that is a guesstimation, is a hope, But anyway, so of course I started off as a Christian. I was told that that's what I was. And probably about 10 years ago, I started having a shift.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. So I sat down because I had never even read the Bible. On the church, only when the pastor says, turn to such and such.
Yeah.
You'll read it as okay.
Right.
But then I started telling myself that, no, something's not adding up here. this seems like a whole bunch of lie wrapped up maybe in the truth, because maybe there is some truth in that, but as a whole, no. So I said, and I told the creator, I said, I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know what you want from me. Like, what do you want from me? You know what I mean?
Like a prayer.
Right. You create, and I don't know how to pray. I like people, I don't know how to do that. I talk to the creator.
Yeah.
You know what I'm, you know, when Beautiful. I was really the realest conversation I had with him, I was having a crybaby moment going to work in a disastrous marriage and all that. So I was crying the whole way there. And I said, I did the old, why me? My spirit said, why not you? What have you done so great to avoid? What have you done to avoid this not being you? Yeah. And now that it is beautiful, what are you gonna do? So all that coddling and baby, no, people will expect that, oh, well, it's because of this and that. No, my creator actually is very, as a matter of fact. You know, the people have told you what they think he is, this nice old man with a beard and all that. No.
Ridiculous.
Your hardest lessons most likely was him checking you.
Yeah.
Whatever you believe in, your hardest lessons were you were told no. And I was told that too. I'm going to tell you no more than I tell you yes. Because we all want to hear yes. Yes is great. Yes, it's fun. Yes, feels good. And all the hardest lessons that you're supposed to know came within a no. Came within a not now.
The best, I would say hardest and best.
Yes.
Because I really have kind of understood over about the same time period, last 10 or 12 years, that I really started to wake up and understand some things.
Yes.
That when you're questioning, when you start to question and search is when you're going through something really, really hard.
And in religion,
that's what it takes to get your attention.
Yeah, you're not supposed to question anything. Don't question God. Don't question after the first.
So we got to get forced to question.
Yeah, exactly. So just go along to get along. That's not even how I'm made up.
Yes.
I don't go along to get along. I push back. I ask, and not to create an argument or anything, or to create an argument in a debate. Let's talk about this.
And see, there, as a therapist, when you say argument. See, we tend to think that arguing is a bad thing. No, you get offended and angry, you mess up the argument.
Right.
You can have a disagreement.
Exactly.
But you got to regulate your emotion in that. The other person is allowed their view.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean that they're bad or whatever.
Yes.
You would want to share in that.
Yes.
I just was talking to someone this morning and I said, I've never wanted to go somewhere where there was all this or that. Like, you know, speaking of Christianity, let's go to a woman's conference.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be any men there?
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. It's all blacks that are there. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to that. I want to go somewhere where there's a smorgasbord.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
So because this topic is going in a great direction, but let's lead it back and we'll talk more about
reincarnation. Okay, so what I know,
we can have so many episodes, right?
We're good. I need them.
So go back to
need them too. It's more people that think like me. Come on.
Yes, absolutely.
They don't know how to formulate it and say it.
Yeah.
I say stuff that's forbidden.
Right.
And again, I'm not doing it to be rebellious or
this is how you discover. This is any scientist, researcher, examiner has to ask the hard questions. You're never going to discover anything, you know. So anyway, reincarnation. What are your spiritual beliefs about that now that you're really searching?
Right. I was told I'm not even supposed to believe in that. So I was told don't believe in it. And if you do believe in it, it's some kind of demonic force on you. Okay. But more so than that, intelligence type of question. Well, which body gets judged in the end? If I've had all these lives, which one is going to go to? Yeah, which one is going to go to the throne to get judged? I also heard that you keep having lives because you're not getting it right. So you don't really die until you die because, this life, you've had 10 of them, but this 10th one, you finally got it. So now you can go ahead and die.
Ah.
Okay. So my not believing in it is just, I was told not to. I
Okay.
was told, and if I even visit that thing, that's evil and wicked, and I shouldn't even get involved with that. So out of fear, false evidence appearing real, which is a cliche, that's where I landed. Like, I'm not supposed to believe in that. Yeah. And it doesn't really make sense. So I don't understand it. Let's leave it at that. I don't understand it.
And
so
I can tell from the questions you're asking that there's a little bit of straightening out that we can do. And hopefully we can do it in the next 30, 40 minutes or less. But because I'm trying to put kind of a universe of information into a nutshell, you know. So reincarnation, let's first define what we're talking about. Okay. So that means that we have in Christianity, Abrahamic religions, one life. At the end of it, you pass over and you face judgment where God or Jesus or, you know, this deity is going to make you account for that life you just lived, good and bad. It should be more good than bad, I guess is the idea. And God is the judge of that, right? And then God, this being which really is elusive, okay, because what is that? So, and you know, he will let you in or send you down below. And so
I'm sorry to cut you off. The more you even talk about this, the more silly.
So he will let you into the higher realms of heaven, or he will say he will just he will decide if you are led into heaven or sent down to the pits of hell with Satan or the devil or, you know, demons. Okay. So yes, what does it sound like when I give that gist? Like a kid's story, right? Like it sounds like a metaphor to me of trying to explain something to beings that don't understand, that are on a lower intelligent scale. Would be that children or be that just in our past when we were simpler, right? Okay, so sounds like a metaphor for something to me now that I'm 54.
Yes.
Okay, so reincarnation says, though, more in maybe Eastern cultures, you know, have no problem. Hinduism, you know, Chinese culture, Asian culture, they have no problem saying no. Life is a circle, a wheel. You will come time and time again.
Wow.
Okay. So we can study a little bit. The Hindus, I'm not deep in these beliefs. So, you know, I can't go in. I just, you know, I've tapped the surface of them to have some understanding. But Hinduism, they will say all the world's like a play, like Shakespeare, right? We take on roles and we decide, we agree to forget where we're coming from. We come in and we play our role just like actors on a stage.
Okay.
Okay. And there is that understanding too in a gist. Again, that is not the whole, you know, system, just to put that there. My understanding through studying things, Asian culture, Taoism, Egyptology, that, you know, we experience many lives, and the clincher in this, and you'll read it in my book, is at the same time, simultaneously.
Wow.
There is only one moment and one thing, and that is God.
Yeah.
And we are all in it and of it. Okay. And so it's kind of mind-boggling to try to think of that through this human mind that we're in. Mind you, that researchers have shown we only use about 10% of.
I've heard that several times.
And so, though they're not talking about the way we operate physically, all of our brain is functioning, but conscious-wise, we only use, there's about 90% that we really don't tap into. Okay, so there's some multidimensional, interdimensional things going on that are a little bit difficult to comprehend in that small part. Okay, but so I'm trying to explain it simply and how I understand it. We are always existing. Once that one being we call God, or energy, as I call it, source, okay, once that one source imagines you, your oversoul comes into being, that oversoul now has the same, well, the consciousness comes into being of your oversoul. And it now has the same ability of the source to create through thought.
Okay.
Once that consciousness creates this oversoul, it can create many souls. Okay. Those souls are what we might call spirit in church.
Okay.
Spirit. Okay. Or soul. We use the word soul in church too. But again, you have multiple, not just one. So your soul then has the same ability to create as well. And it may decide, I'd like to experience a human life. And there's all kinds of lives in this multidimensional experience that you could choose from. And human on earth is one. And then you get into interdimensional things like different dimensions of that one. So though there's all these experiences, what we call, some of them have space and time, some of them do not. Some of them have physicality, some of them do not. Some of them you just remain conscious and soul. But you, as that soul, knows all parts of yourself. You know what's going on. You know you came out of that one. Okay. And so you understand it much fuller from that perspective. But now I'm going to narrow it down really quickly. Just again, this is a kind of a very simplified, super simplified version. Your soul said, I'd like to imagine myself as Yvette. I'm going to name myself Yvette. I'm going to be born in this time frame. You know, I want to have this human experience. And maybe not your name. Okay. I'm just giving you an idea.
I get you.
So you kind of build your blueprint for your human experience. And you may do that with other souls, other beings that want to do things around the same time. And you may even bump up against each other in many times. Okay. So let's say the husband you've had, or the children you've bore, or maybe someone significant in your life that has posed a challenge, you know, a workplace, a city, an area of this globe, right? So you kind of gave yourself a blueprint according to what you feel would help you grow as a soul as you work your way back through eternity to the one.
Okay.
And so you're not going to do that in one life, because it's very challenging what we take ourselves through, as we can see in just this one that we're in.
Yes.
So if you sit as a soul, I'd like to further understand emotion. I'd like to further understand human relationships, man and wife, or woman and woman, or mother and son, or, you know, you might want to explore certain types of emotions. So you put certain things on that blueprint. It's not a word for word, place for place, dot for dot thing. It's an overall. This is kind of what I'd like to experience and what I'd like to learn in this life as this young lady, right? And you might be doing that for multiple ones. So you are the personality that was created out of the soul, okay? But your soul may be doing that with many different things. Okay. So is the one, so are the consciousness that came out of the one, and the oversouls and the souls. So I'm just narrowing it down to the one that created Yvette. Okay. But we are stuck in our human thinking, which is fine, because we were born here to operate this way. We understood that going into this human life, one of the agreements is that we'll forget where we came from. We won't remember. And that's what makes the game more challenging. And it is a game. Now you can think of virtual reality.
Yes, I've said that. When I was really seeking truth, I said that very thing. I said, what is this game? And the person I asked was like, wow, you got it. Some people call it a movie. This is a movie.
Imagine your brain, your consciousness as a projector in a walk-in theater.
Yes.
Everything around you is the screen.
Yes.
It is a technological thing. And this is why I say that science and creationism are right. It is the one, but it's an energetic source. And mathematics, it's just, sacred geometry is so much involved intricately in that. And in my book, I do try to hit on that a little bit. At the beginning, I kind of introduce it like Paul's words are for baby food, and he says it himself, I'm giving you milk because you guys are behaving like spiritual infants. So he says it himself that he's giving you milk. There has to be a time to transfer from milk to a little bit more solid food. This is elementary. And scholars will tell you the Bible is written pretty much on a 6th grade level.
Wow.
It's the elementary version. Our society is now waking up to understand, no, there's more to this story. Yes. You're talking about 2 of animals getting on a big ship.
Right.
What? That's not logistically possible.
Yes.
So we're all just kind of coming out of being children that are middle school and younger into maybe 17 or 18, 19 years old, where you're kind of getting young college and you go, wait a minute, what am I doing here?
Yes.
So as a collective society, that's what we're kind of in, those late teen, young adult years, right? And we're kind of waking up to understand there's more going on. And so reincarnation, because I could have went off right there onto alien, all kind of stuff. So I had to pull myself back.
Right. Yeah, I heard about that too, aliens.
But there's also, other than my belief and what I'm telling you, there's also evidence. There are researchers, doctors, psychiatrists that do hypnotism, past life regression, that have put people under hypnosis and tested the hypnosis, and they start talking about times before they were born. They'll go back to being born, and then they go back to another life, and they'll even describe what happens in between that, dealing with loved ones passed on. And so what really happens there is no death. We see it as an ending. I'm no more, but really you're going back to who you are as a soul, who you really are. And it is always there, that you're like kind of a finger of, if your body were your soul, you're just kind of one of the little limbs, So you're really going back, and what you're taking with you is that personality and the spirit of what information, lessons that you gleaned here back to your soul.
Okay.
And we're doing that over. Think of a big tree. Next time you look at a tree, think of the roots down in the ground as our source and the soil. And then the trunk is one part of that soul. And then all of the little branches over souls, and then leaves, personality. The leaves fall off, go back into the ground and do it. That's a great analogy of what's happening. So there is no beginning and no end. And that's what confuses you by it, because you're going, well, where's the end? And then where's judgment? It's not like that. It's a circle of life. A circle of life. The writer of that song knew this, because you're going to have what we call endings, and you're going to do a life review. Did I do what I intended? And it's you in charge of that, because you are God. You came out of that one. You're still it. When the Bible talks about the body of God, it's talking about the entire cosmos, not your religion. Yeah. Everything is the body of God. So you're going back in this loop until you are ready to go back to that center, that source that is in the center of all things, pulsing, always giving out information, wisdom. You can tap into it anytime, like you talked about, you did. And so we're doing all of these different lives and experiences. We have a review at the end of each one, and we can decide what we want to do next again, whether come back here, whether come back there. And there's a reason why I said you decide, because there's a whole nother stuff going on. So questions, because that was a lot.
That was a lot. I forgot to put my pen because I do have, is that where deja vu comes in? You know how we're all saying, hey, I've been here before. What is this? I already know what's going to happen. And it happens just like that.
And you can't quite describe it, but you feel it.
Yeah, strongly.
And that's because we are energy and we feel things, and we're not trained in it growing up. So we get it kind of brushed off as coincidence and all of this kind of stuff. And centuries ago, people got trained in it. The ancient Egyptians, they were trained in it. There's many civilizations before us that understood this.
Yes.
And that's why they bury history. They don't want to go up under that Sphinx. They know us there. We got satellites and everything looking under the ground. They know what's under there.
Okay.
It's a lot of evidence. And this is so much coming out into light. Shows like Ancient Aliens. That's why I asked you if you had a Hulu before we talked. Because I was until you start watching these things, because these guys for the last 20 years or so have been pulling up physical evidence with archaeologists and everything, showing it all around the world. So people are waking up to understanding, oh, if I believe I have one life, then I'm very afraid, because I know I'm screwing this one up pretty bad.
Already.
And then now I gotta face hell.
Christianity teaches you're born in the sin. Dang,
yes, dang.
God, I'm a little pretty baby, and you're born into it.
That little bastard. He's born in.
This is what started tripping me out. Okay, so let's go ahead and say I was born in the sin.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have no choice in that. I'm gonna be a sinner.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, this big person above me is going to judge me for something I had no control over?
Yeah. Pretty insane. And what is the Christian answer for that? Let's and I just say Christian because I was a Christian for over 20
years. And I was too. So we have that commonality.
Yeah. So I can't speak to, anyone else's perspective. This is just ours again, know. And let me put this in there. When we are going through that life review and we decide to come back in, we start planning for the new life, right? And there's no time in this dimension. So you might, see your loved one right away. You might not when they pass over, because there's no time. They're doing things.
They're doing things.
Yeah. So when you decide to come back in, and I forgot where I was going with that, because we were talking about a certain thing. When you just, okay, Christianity. You might put having a religious life on your blueprint. So if I decide to become, I want to see what it's like to have that kind of religious, Bible thumping life.
Experience, yeah.
Yeah, I want to live that out. And you might put the time period you want to live that out, So you might put certain details in there. I'm going to be Muslim, or I'm going to be a Black woman. I'm going to be a white man. We have exchanged in and out of all of these things. Okay. So this is why you don't want to tell people you're wrong to be this or that.
Okay.
Because you're going to mess up their blueprint, because we come here and we forget. And you got this little kid like you're sharing saying you're a Christian and you're this. You go, okay, you forgot, you don't remember. But while you're struggling to live your passion, living your passion is what guides you to your blueprint, to what you plan to do. So as you're struggling to do that, and maybe that wasn't on it, maybe religion wasn't on yours, but maybe it was on your mama's,
Yeah.
So she living here, she believed that, she had to tell you that, that's on her calling. And then it's up to you, because you chose her to play mom, you wanted that challenge to figure your way out of, so these are kind of things that we do when we're planning on that other side. So that's why you don't tell people that they're wrong in what they do, believe, and are, because they're trying to find their own blueprint. And when we do that, we infringe on that. And I like what you said earlier, because you said, hey, we can argue and hear each other's side, but we don't have to get angry and hate. And
there's a way to argue. There's a technique.
Yeah.
You can do it, but there is a technique.
Well, tell me why you believe that. I don't, like you said, I don't believe reincarnation. You know, so you can talk about things. And even if you walked away from this and said, well, I'm still not sure, that would be fine with me.
Exactly.
Because it's not on, obviously, that's not your journey. And that's
right.
fine. Yeah.
Right. What I will say is, I think I lost my train of thought.
I know, because we're
saying
talking about so many things.
Yeah, we're saying so much. This is all good. This is all helping me.
While you're thinking about that, just for the record,
I'm going to get a pen. So when I have a thought, I'll write it down.
Grab it. So Dr. Ian Stevenson is a psychiatrist that did, you know, deep research on reincarnation by using hypnotism. Dr. Brian Weiss, another psychiatrist as well, stumbled upon it in hypnotism with one of his clients. And he has a book, I should have pulled that out, Dr. Brian Weiss, called Many Lives, Many Masters. He has a few books now, but he stumbled upon this in the 80s, which there was teachers teaching it way before then. This has never gone away. But in the 80s, he had a client where he was using the typical treatment for anxiety and depression. The woman wasn't getting better, and that was new to him. Usually his techniques worked. So he had studied hypnotism, but he was refreshing that so that he could work with her using that. And she was one of those that as she went under, she went into other lives, you know, and her father was a character in a few of them. Her father in the current life she was in was very volatile. They had a rough relationship. And that was part of her, you know, mental problems, depression and things like that. So once she realized that dad and her were doing some lives together and they were both working out things, it helped her to say, oh, okay, well, we're working it out. You know, it just kind of helped her to release all of that questioning and tension wrapped around her father. And as a therapist, it's really beautiful to me because you don't want, to me, I'm what you call a solution focused therapist or narrative therapist, where cognitive behavior therapy, where I believe there's a lot of power in your thoughts.
I agree.
You know, and that's esoteric. And we get our thoughts trapped in a certain frame of thinking on a certain tragedy or a trauma that was wrong. You know, we felt it was wrong. We were really damaged by it. And when we keep our thoughts focused in on that, which is difficult not to, because we're reminded of it all the time, it's difficult to feel good, to be happy. And people start getting on drugs, you know, whether they're in a religion or not. It's not any different, you know. They start relying on drugs to cope. They go to religion to cope, you know, to rely on Jesus and all this. And it's nice for a while, you know, but when you have a significant trauma, you know, molestation and abuse and things like this, even that's hard, you know, for a lot of people. And so it's really important to take note of your thoughts.
Yes.
You know, and the Bible talks a lot about that. You know?
The scripture that says, as a man thinketh, so he is.
So
that's why I said Christianity, the Bible, it does have some truth in it.
Yes, that's the
you can
hard
utilize.
Part. Yeah.
Yes, but it's the Bible isn't even being taught correctly.
No.
It's so geared towards worship in the pastor in the church.
Control. Yeah, fear-based control.
Exactly. So I did get a lot out of reading the Bible, but now I've set it down and I've told the Creator I don't think I'll ever pick it back up. Because when I was in it, I was in it.
Yes. Yeah, me too.
And it made me feel so good. Now I'm a good person. Okay, so before you were a bad person? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Past lives, I chose what I'm going to do in the next life. Why would I choose such tragic moments then? Because, you know, some bad things have happened to me. I've met some bad people. I've done some bad things. But you're saying I chose all that? Why would I do that? If I have a heads up to here, you can pick this good thing will happen. Why didn't I choose that?
Oh, great question. And there's so many layers to that.
Okay.
So first, what is good and bad?
Okay.
You won't know one without the other.
Okay. Yeah.
But you have to experience
bad to know and appreciate good. I have to be hungry.
That wraps that answer up right there.
Okay.
So on a very lower level, right?
Yes, yes.
So you have to understand we have a perception that we live under, okay? And that perception is shaped, like you said, from little girl. Your perception, you're a Christian, you're Black, you're in America. Right there. We're told right there what we are. Just
real quick, gotta cut you off again. And all three of those are bad. I'm a woman, hated. I'm Black, hated. I'm an American, hated.
And why would I choose
have a
those
negative
things?
Stereotype with those things. So I can't help but to be depressed. There's nothing in that what we just described that's positive. They're all hated.
Yeah.
Women are hated, especially Black women are hated. Now you're an American. All the societies hate Americans.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to be positive. It's not impossible because I'm the cup half full girl. But we're up against a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Now, why would I choose a tough life like that?
Exactly.
So if I'm going back to the soul planning again,
okay.
We're working our way back to that source.
Okay.
And so my understanding is that challenges boost you a little bit further.
I've heard that.
A lot of times coming into a human experience is a big deal. It's a harder deal than anywhere in the realms I'm understanding. Okay. So already the fact that you're here means you're doing something pretty awesome. Just if you are here having this experience. As a soul, it takes practice learning how to think of yourself from a higher place and not from just the lens you're walking in as Yvette. Okay. So I'm bringing you up a notch to say, oh, okay, I'm this greater being and I'm in control of this. See, here our control is taken, like we're talking about. So you feel like you're a victim of things. But when you say, oh, I chose it, I am not the victim of things. I controlled these things. That means I can change them.
Okay.
But when you're told God is out there, a white guy out in the sky, you're always looking outward for it. And you don't look inward for it. Even after I started understanding that what the teacher we call Jesus said, the kingdom of God is in you.
Yes.
In
Proverbs, don't even hold on to that. The very word that they talk about, they go against it.
Yeah.
You told me you preached that whole sermon that what you just said, but I'm not supposed to believe in myself and my own power.
Yeah. Now I'm a sinner and God is out there. And I'm a sinner, so I can't even trust myself because I've been told that I'm a sinner. So I'm always looking outward, and we're given an image of what that outward looks like. And it took me so many years to shape that image when I communicate with the Creator.
Yes.
And you could communicate with the Creator by looking in the mirror because there it is.
Yes,
right
there. I agree.
So now that we've put God back inside of me, and I created this blueprint, that means I can change anything that I don't care for. See, when I thought God was outside of me and I was at the mercy of things, I felt powerless. Why is all this happening to me? Why did my uncle molest me? Why is it hard for me to get ahead financially? Why are Black people treated this way? See, when we're told, and we as Blacks have it really, really bad.
Yeah.
We're doing it to ourselves. Shift your attention away from what white people are doing. They are free. They can do whatever they want. You come do what you want. But because we have been trained to look that way, let me say this, where your attention is focused, you amplify power. So whether you think your focus on white people is on what they do wrong or right, doesn't matter. If your attention is focused on that direction, the power will be amplified. So take the focus off of what you don't want completely, put it on what you do want. I don't like the relationships I've experienced. What are the relationships that you want to experience? What are those like? You know, we talked about men being faithful last week. I want someone who's monogamous, who really is devoted to me the same as I am devoted to them, who communicates well, you know, whatever you want. Put your attention on how that would feel if that's your goal. If it's money, put your attention on how that would feel. I really just need $3 million. And I'm not saying, you know, in our time space, it takes time, but put your attention on it, knowing you have it, asking it is given. The only reason why you don't get it is because of energy and frequency. We stay on the frequency of wanting. We won't rise to the frequency of having, because they're two different frequencies. You know? So you have to understand energy and vibration and the laws of attraction that everybody is talking about now. But I like speaking to people coming out of the church because that was my struggle, you know, and that, you know, so I like doing that because I know that there's still a lot of people there that believe like I did. I became a Christian because I believed that that was the way you serve God.
Yeah.
And because I believed that, I served that way and very devotedly for a long time.
Yes.
So once I understood, oh, that's not the only way to love God, that I just serve God by being. You know, just by being is my expression of God. I could do it as a Christian. I could do it as a Muslim. I could do it as a Hindu, a Buddhist. I could do it as none of those. I could do it as a bum laying on the street if I want to, although hopefully you don't want to, but you end up there because you don't know that you're God. And I don't know how we got all the way around that in reincarnation.
Right. No, I got some, that made sense. One time in my time with so-called God, I don't even call him God, but whatever, because there's hundreds and millions of so-called God.
All that is a good
right, but for the sake of this session, because most people, for the masses, use that and can identify it. So for this argument's sake, we'll say God.
Yes.
I came to him one time and said, I've never seen a miracle. Because when you read the Bible, you start wanting to do with those people in that Bible. Yeah. Why don't I get to see a miracle? He said, you are a walking miracle.
Yeah. Beautiful.
You are a walking
miracle. Sit and meditate, and you, yes. If you sit and meditate with yourself and just think about yourself from the toes, your physical body is.
Everything.
Who's breathing it? You're not.
Yeah. So I got confirmation on that I'm a walking miracle. It is. The human body is a miracle.
Yes, absolutely. And though they can tell you how birth and conception and all that happens, they can explain what is happening.
Yes.
They're not talking about that force, that source that is moving it. And that's what I call God. That source that is moving everything.
Yes.
You know, it's everything. And you can work it any way you want. It lets you look around. The best example I give people is Star Wars. You have the dark side and the Jedi, and they are both using the force source. And that force does not stop either side from using its power. It lets everyone use it because it expands and grows from whatever you do. And it knows that no one is ever really harmed, that it's all in consciousness. You know, so though we can sit here and say that's bad what you did, when you think from this level, be quiet. You don't know what that person is doing. Though the people involved, if it's my, you know, daughter that was harmed or murdered, I'm personally involved. I have a different responsibility in that. But for all my neighbors and the news and the people across the world, all they're doing is adding to a lower energy when they participate in those stories.
Glad you said that. Even in, I'm going to just say it, even in some people's suffering, they have to.
Yes.
Like, okay, I hope I say this right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like helping people, save the world and all that. No, they're supposed to be going through that. And if you march in there and get in the middle of their war, their training, that's going to jump on you. Mm-hmm. So no, I cannot help everybody. Some people were assigned to me.
Yes.
People were assigned to me. And sometimes I'm off. Sometimes my discernment is off.
Yeah. And, like, no, and sometimes what you did help. What is your definition of help? That's what they needed.
They were there for that season, that reason, and now it's done. Yeah. Sometimes we want to hold on to things, people, places, and things, when no, that's done now. Yeah. You played your part in the movie, in the show, in the whatever, the game, the act, and now it's done. Yes, you got attached to that thing, but now you're in error, Yvette. Because you need to let this go.
Yeah.
And let them do their thing so they can keep playing their role, their part, their movie.
And a lot of that is because, and not in a nutshell, but some of that is because we don't know God is within. We never really train that inner guidance, that inner voice, so that we understand the language of spirit. Spirit doesn't speak English or whatever language you speak. It can when you learn to connect with it a little bit more audibly, but not everybody gets those audible messages,
Right. I prayed for that for years too, to the Creator. I was like, I want to hear you.
You need audibly. To hear
like
it.
Me and you were talking. I want him to sit down and talk to me. Not everything just be in my mind and I'm just thinking.
Well, it has to be, because again, energy, that source we call God, is not, it's everything, but at the same time, you won't see it standing in front of you.
Right.
The frequency's too low.
Right.
At the same time, it's it.
Right.
But you won't see a figure in front. You will see figures, because there are other consciousnesses and beings that are more highly evolved, that will visit and help you. And they're very loving, so that's another thing. But I put a lot of all of this in that book. So
I'll get to it. The book, you guys need to go get this book. It's so powerful. I was telling Sophia, I literally had to set it down, go walk away, go cry, come back to it, because the energy in that book is so powerful. It resonated to me so much. I have done the things that this book has said.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh no, I must be wrong. I must be crazy. I must be a sinner. Someone else had that same experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Very similar experience.
And that's why I wanted to write it, because that was a difficult transition for me coming out of church. I was very devoted, and I remember watching a movie, a minister, I don't know what the movie is called. I think it was in the 80s, a Black minister of a big church in Los Angeles. And he had an awakening like that, and he started trying to teach it at, one of these big Baptist churches.
They stone him, crucify him.
And he ended up in the movie anyway. I wish I could remember his name. Some people might know who I'm talking about, but he went through a lot, because he really wanted to get that understanding to people. And he ended up helping in AA and all these other things. So you go to the people that will listen. And that's who the man we call Jesus did. He went to the religious people. Don't get it. They didn't in his time. They're very stuck in their way. And there's a few of us, though, like me, who, like I said, we're doing it because we really believe that was the only way. So I like to help people understand that are open, that, yes, God is a bit broader than that.
Yeah.
Limit God when you say one way, when God is everything, The body has many parts, is what the Bible says. And all its parts are many. And the foot can't say to the hand, I don't need you. And all of this stuff. So all parts are needed, whatever we want to call that. And that's fine. You can talk about your differences, but when you try to go pull people into things, really scaring them into it,
I said it at the beginning of this. I was afraid to believe in reincarnation.
Yeah.
Even though I've grown so much. I'm so open. Some things still have a strong hold on me.
Yeah.
A lot of things still have a stronghold on me.
Yeah.
Because nothing has challenged that.
Yeah, that programming that we go under as kids is very deep.
Yeah.
Very deep. You can see it in the mental illness.
Yes.
You know, you can see it in the mental illness. I don't know how many, I don't know that I have had any clients that aren't there, that something that wasn't rooted in childhood trauma.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just, and some of my clients have been 60, 70, 80 years old.
Wow.
You know, and just now opening up about things that have plagued them all their lives. They've
think about
to
that.
God. They've been in church.
When you said that 60, 70, 80 years, people weren't thinking for themselves. This is a new movement.
Yeah.
You know, and you and I, we're kind of, I tell my children, I said, I'm kind of toggling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to know new things and experience, but then it's certain things that I'm like, oh no, that's against the law.
Yeah. Well, there's a dark side of things, and we could talk about that maybe in the next episode, what we would consider a dark side.
Right.
I draw people back to the Bible. I think it's Colossians that says God is everything, whether rulers, authorities, dominions, or powers, it's all his.
Even in the Bible, it says he says, I created the light, the dark, the this, the that. People have he's like a bunny rabbit and everything's not. He tell you straight up, no, I kill, I destroy, I make good, I make bad.
Yeah. And it's our perception though.
And they said, no, God doesn't kill. He doesn't?
Okay.
Yeah,
so there's a perception though of good and evil, and that's the problem, you know. But whereas you know, remember the yin yang, black and white little rap in the Asian culture, that's a little bit more understanding. You got to lean on both. You won't have one without the other. You know, it's a circle, you know. So when people play those parts, when they come here and play those roles, and not just here, there's positive and negative all over the cosmos. You know, so, and that goes back to the frequency you carry, what you meet up with. So it's a big circle of things, and there's a lot of topics in there. But, and what we call heaven and hell, you can experience here. You know, it's a frequency. You can have hell right here or heaven right here. It's you're not being sent somewhere. You're the operant power. You're in control of this experience. You just don't know it, because we're taught, we're given things, we're not able to experience things and discover for ourselves. And that deprogramming takes a while, years.
Yeah. Frequency. Now, does something give me the frequency and energy, or do I say, okay, I want that more frequency and energy, please?
Okay. Great question. We're going to do that, and then we're going to finish up with that.
Okay.
Because we're already at our hour. Yes, you are energy. Your body is a bunch of molecules vibrating at a very high speed that our eyes perceive as solid. Okay. And that energy gives off a frequency. And that frequency is made up through your thoughts and feelings. Okay. This is what you hear, the law of attraction and the law of vibration.
Yes.
And you're doing that through the way that you think and feel. So if I'm thinking, and in my view, I believe the thought comes first, because you'll notice anytime you feel bad, if you think about what you're thinking about, that's what's driving the emotion. They're split second right together almost. But if you start to monitor your thought, and this is me as a cognitive behavior therapist, if you start to really monitor your thought, you will notice that if you change those, your feelings change.
Yeah.
You know? So then people say, well, but I still owe the money, or I'm still mad at my father, or whatever it is, you know. But if you change the way you think about your father, that will change the way you feel, that will change your behavior, and it will change your experience. So yes, you are drawing things to you by matching the frequency of it.
Okay. So I'm in charge of even how much energy I get.
Yes. You're it. Now you said, where does it come from? So that's the problem. We allow our experience to dictate our thoughts and feelings. So we have to stop doing that. We have to go into, I shouldn't say have to, it would be beneficial if you spend more time nurturing your spirit in meditation, walking in nature, talking with people, socializing, listening, self-examining most of all. Stop worrying about what other people are doing or not doing, and work on yourself and with all of these things. And you get that connection from your creator like you've been doing. That's why you're waking up, and you start to build that connection, and that helps you carry a higher frequency. Not all the flawed people around you. They can be flawed. They're trying to find their way just like we are. So, you can let go, forgive, work on whatever you need to do, because if you don't, it hinders you. It hinders you in a lower place. That's why the Bible says, throw off everything that hinders and run the race marked out for you. Because when you look to the left and the right, now your path is a little bit more curvy or stagnant, so if you can shake off, okay, I love God, right? These people around me, maybe they do, maybe they don't, I don't know, but I do. So let me draw my power here, and then I can handle all of that better. But we don't do it that way, so we start getting sick, first. And before we get some major diagnoses, the body is trying to get our attention. If people and experiences don't, the body will, because now we're stressed, or our heart's got issues, or it shows up in arthritis, or, little ways, headaches, maybe you get repeated headaches, little things. And if those just pop pills, keep going, you're not listening to the body or the language of spirit, and you keep going. And then the diagnosis might get greater. But you still have control to bring it all back if you self-examine and start walking right. And this goes through any religion. That's why it's God, because it doesn't matter. You can do what religion you want to from this perspective. It's not limiting you that. If you want to, I don't argue with people anymore. I used to when I first started really studying this. No, you're wrong, but that was my Christian training to get people on the right path. Whatever path you're on is your right path. So I just have a broader understanding of that now. So I like to talk to people that are in church, because a lot of them are there like me, that thought that that's the way, but and even I've had people in therapy where they bring it up. I don't, because these are my understanding, and I don't want to impose that on anyone else that I'm working in. But if they bring it up, I'm questioning my faith. I've been a Christian this long, but I don't believe it anymore, and they say, but I still go to church because, I feel like I'm hurting God, or, that it's a sin. You grapple with that knowing and not knowing for a little while. And I understand that, so I try to help people at their own pace. I don't impose, anything. I ask questions. Well, how did you feel about that when you went to church? Well, I was really very tired. I just worked 6 days,
So you were supposed to go home and rest.
Yeah.
You need to go to sleep. But then your indoctrination
so you're not even going for the reasons that so then you got that battle. So really helping people unpeel all of those programming layers. I just love doing that. I just love doing that. So yes, you have the energy, the power to change your environment. Yeah.
And I have control over if I get more energy or not, or use my higher frequency or lower. So it's all on, again, we're full circle, all on me. And that keeps me from blaming this, that, or the third. No, people have influence. People come to attack, or energies come to attack, or whatever. It's up to me to say, whoa, to respond. I'm not going to entertain, because I see that frequency, that energy is not.
It's very low. Now, what is spirit trying to get me to see? That I experienced it, right? Because it's obviously in my frequency, but how I'm going to respond is what determines if I stay down there or if I move up. Okay. So this is turn the other cheek. See, we get trained about that wrong. When you don't understand energy, all of that sounds like you're a punk and people are walking over you, right? But when you understand I'm trying to vibrate higher for real, where I don't have this in my experience, then I have to start responding when they show up. I have to start responding in a more beneficial way for me, not for anyone else, but for me. What's beneficial for me? Because I say that because if somebody has been really murderous and hateful and angry, where they would usually grab you by the throat when you did something. So this time they're trying to do something different. It might be them punching the wall.
Okay.
Whereas the other person on the other side is still horrified.
Yes.
He punched a hole through. For that person, it was better. It was better. So, but we as a society, we still might beat them up.
Right.
Then they go, why damn, I should have just choked her then. So we mess up people's free will. And not to say that person that's there should take that, but
right.
if we understand energy, we would say, oh, this is something in my experience I don't want it. Now she can go, or he, whatever, can go and say, now she should respond differently.
Yes.
I understand you're working on yourself. I'm going to give you space. I'm not letting you go. I'm going to give you some space. I'm going to take some space. And I wish you well. But we fight and argue, cuss him out. Now he's discouraged, So it's a vicious cycle we are
in.
Big
mess.
Yes.
A hot mess, as they say. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This has been a great talk.
Yes.
Think about any questions you have that we can discuss next time. Okay. And I really appreciate all of y'all coming and joining us, whoever hung around this long. I don't know, we can pause it and restart it wherever you want. But great conversation. Any final words, Tunie?
I think you answered my question.
Okay.
Oh, well, a lot of stuff, like when we discussed why the masses believe God is this big old white man. Yeah. First of all, that was created by design.
Yes.
What is the other term? I don't want to say white power, but yeah, so we can always feel below.
Yeah. But white supremacy.
There you go, white supremacy.
Yeah.
So that was created by design.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's a shame.
Yes.
Because remember on Good Times, Florida had it hanging on the wall.
Now we're walking around again. Like I said, I was born into defeat.
Yeah.
You're a baby girl, that's black, You're bad.
But you chose it. So now take your power.
Okay.
So now
okay.
I overcame, right? The underdog is always the more cheered, right? Because you wanted the one that you thought. So that's probably why you chose it. Oh, I'm going to choose something really challenging because I'm a good, same as we do.
I'm a fighter.
These emotions that we have are not just human. They follow us. We're trying to sharpen them. We don't know them as a human emotion, but we know feelings and vibration. So we're sharpening that. But anyway, we can keep going all day.
Yeah. I know we got to go. Well, maybe
I'm going to say goodbye, stop the recording, like, share, all of that stuff, and share our stuff. Get the book Soul Walk before
Get the book. It's good.